Being real, weekly summary. Topic was personality. We were in session 2 of personality, meeting 2. I'm not sure what we call it. Session 2. And what we started off with was printed off tests for the two types, the two most popular types of personality testing. And we talked a little bit about that in actually quite a bit about that in the first meeting. So now it was just about going through and taking the tests ourselves. Found a couple tests that were weaned it down. I took quite a few. Weaned it down to 2 that were the most efficient ones that were accurate in the testing. Same kind of thing that I did with the temperaments and how we ended up going that route. But anyway, there are 2 tests that we took. One for the Big 5 personality traits, and the other one was the Myers-Briggs personality type test. And depending on who you listen to, obviously make up your own mind, but some say that one overrides the other, others say that they're both good. Listen, what we've discovered is they kind of look at different things. One is, and that's why one's called a type and one's a trait. That's kind of how we've differentiated. Having both or taking both of them helps us have a broader understanding. And one, which is the Big 5, is said to project future stuff better. I don't know. Performance at work is more. Listen, here's the deal. I don't know. You decide for yourself. But more information, good. Yeah, as long as it's not bad information. And both of these tests provide some good information, help you get some insight into some of your personality type things. Now, this doesn't tell you who you are. That's not the point. This is a piece of that, but it just kind of gets you looking inward. It's a quick way to have a better understanding of self, to be a little bit more self-aware. And all these different pieces that we're doing, remember, the overall umbrella is identity. And we're kind of figuring out all those different things that make that up. And there are lots of different things that make that up. But anyway, we're on personality. We took the 2 tests. First, basically, what test do you want to take first? And we chose the Big 5 first, went through and did that. We found a couple things that were incorrect in the test. Not necessarily the test itself. It's like 10 questions, real simple. The PDF of that will be on, it already is, by the time you see this, is on the website underneath this video, both tests that we took. What we discovered in group, and it was great because I didn't catch it. Somebody else caught that that we didn't use one of the questions to do the summary, the total, to add things up at the bottom. Looking back on it, it was quite interesting because 4 of the 5, I think there were 5 in there, I don't remember, 4, I think that's right, but 4 of the 5, it didn't really impact their score, but 1 shifted it quite a bit as far as like to point to what they were, and it went from, yeah, I don't really think this is me, to, oh yeah, that fits me, meaning that their top thing ended up being one of the lower things because the test scoring was incorrect. And basically it was that there were 2 number 5s. 5 was taken 2 different ways, and what it was is that 1 should have been a 6. So we figured that out. I've actually spent some time to redo the scoring of the test and kind of change the format to try to make it easier. Some of these things are a little bit wonky. Actually, every one I've seen is a little bit wonky. It takes a little bit to do the scoring. The scoring is the hardest part. Well, I shouldn't say that. Some of the questions, because you're thinking about, you're internally thinking about, you're always internally thinking. You are having to answer questions and think through things that you haven't had to in a long time, potentially. Anyway, more on that later. So that has been corrected, and the new and improved one will be out there, is out there on 122 under this. So that's the Big 5 one. No issues with the Myers-Briggs one. And again, it was one of those things where just somebody had an oversight when they were doing the test. We caught it, addressed it, figured it out. And that's another reason that the group is so cool, because 4 of the 5 of us didn't catch it at all. So just really cool. I love when that stuff happens. It's for the betterment of everybody when that stuff happens, and just getting people to speak up. That doesn't sound right. People being comfortable pointing those things out and asking those questions are why we get to those answers, which is pretty cool. Anyway, I digress. So we all took the Big Five, and I'm not going to obviously give names. I will tell you that the agreeableness and conscientiousness, easy for you to say, those were kind of overwhelming commonalities we had. Everybody had agreeableness as one or two in that group, and that's kind of an interesting thing. We're going to get into that more next meeting. It's actually this week, but in the next meeting, which is going to be, I'm kind of looking forward to this. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I don't listen. Okay. Really digging into why we are the way we are is, I think, going to be enlightening. Okay. Some people say that the Big Five, the personality traits are better for personal development, where the type is like, this is kind of your makeup, where the traits you can adjust and move and get better at, which is pretty neat. After we took that test, we watched a video that kind of summarized the personality traits, those 5, quickly, and again, we're just doing it quickly, where most of what we do is we try to get an overview, get to something as quickly as possible. Obviously, you could dig more into it. It's a whole rabbit hole, but we're not in there doing that. We're just trying to get people to think of things a different way, and then they can dig for themselves once they identify those different traits and have an idea of what those things are. So that's what we do. So, quick video there. That'll be underneath this video if you're watching it on 122.us under personality, under being real personality. And then one of the questions I had was, is the Big Five enough to identify personality? Because that's the first one we took. And it's a good start. Everybody said it was a good start. They liked that one. They identified with it. Pretty straightforward, 10-question thing. Everybody read through like what the summary of that was, like their specific ones, and they're like, oh yeah, this fits me. So that was good. We didn't have anybody go, man, this is not me at all. That didn't happen. The opposite. So Myers-Briggs. Oh, so we went into that, watched the video. Let's talk about that a little bit. Then we went into the Myers-Briggs personality test and took that one. That one was, I believe it's 20 questions. Now that one, most of them are 70 plus questions. I took multiple ones. I found the shortest one that was kind of the easiest to take, that still ended up with the same results as the other ones. Not foolproof. Again, this is not, self-diagnosis. It's to get an idea. Okay? It's to get an idea. That's what we're doing. So, quickest way to do that, like I said earlier, we're just trying to get there quickly. To have real discussions. And learn some stuff. Because there's a lot to all this. We try to take complicated things and simplify them down. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. So, went through the Myers-Briggs has 4 different letters. There were 2 that were identical of the 5. Yeah, there were 5. A couple more that were close, and one that was quite a bit different. So that was kind of interesting. And went through, and everybody was like, oh yeah, that makes sense for me. Now, again, Myers-Briggs has been around since 1930-ish, something like that. There's a lot of information on it. There are a lot of ways to break it down. There's something, we watched a couple videos. Again, those videos will be underneath this one, so you can see what we watched in the group. And we watched one that was really quick, kind of tells the different ones, like there's there's the inspector and the commander, and it gives those 16 different personality traits some life, and explains them briefly. And then there's another one that kind of goes into more depth about, like, for part of it, a woman's talking about all the technical aspects and how things fit together, and then they're like, we try to make this simpler, and now you're talking about a car model and how that works. And we went into that a little bit, but we're going to go into that more next week. The car model is more of a way to better understand and better apply each of those. It breaks down. Once you know what yours is, you can go to the next level and kind of break it apart a little bit more, and that's what we're going to focus on the next time we meet. So, but that video's out there. I just want to mention that. They get to the car model, I think, 3/4 of the way through. We kind of bounced around a little bit in that video. Didn't watch all of it. It was more of a, like, here's some stuff that is interesting. So, and then lastly, we tried to summarize. So the observations of the group. 1, we change over time. 2, environments change things, which we're going to get into more next week. And the changing over time, and we're digging into this more, but it was more of those were things that, it was a question where I said, what comes to mind for you now? What are you thinking about? And it was more of a leading into next week than it was a summary of what we did, because we took the test and had a better idea of the identifying the personality traits and types that we are. So not a whole lot of discussion, but the curiosity, you could just kind of tell, was starting up there. Are they inherited, right? Well, we'll talk about that more. It's a hard test to take. Yes. And I said I would talk about this a little bit later, but it is difficult because you really, there are things that you're like, well, this is what I would have said 10 years ago. This is what, you have that whole thing, like, how do I answer this question? This is what I'd like to be. Now, where are you now? And it's a very interesting, and hard to do, because it's hard to kind of divide that up. It's also hard to really look inward and assess yourself earnestly. It's a challenge to do that. So it was a hard test to take. Things covered from videos. Things, I can't read my own writing. Oh, things connected from the videos. That's what it probably says. I have horrible writing. Always have. I still write stuff down, so I have it, but sometimes it's like hieroglyphics. Anyway. Everybody liked the first test better, the 10-question one that was easier. The other one of the reasons that it was harder is because it was, the two options were close. And some people are like, I could say A and B. Well, which one's a little bit more? And it's purposefully done that way, because you're going to lean one way or the other, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's a 50-50. And it's just one of those things. You do lean one way more than the other, but it forces you to be like, which way do you lean a little bit more? And that's kind of challenging for sure. The second one was the one that was tougher. So that was the Myers-Briggs, which was tougher. So going into next session, we're going to unpack these things. Now that we have an idea of our traits and our types, we're going to dive a bit deeper into those, and not just going down that path, but looking at where all that comes from. Like, we just took a test or two to get this idea, but how did we get here? How did we get here from there? Where did there start? What are the variables? What impacts this? And we're going to have open discussion. So next time we meet, going to be a lot of good discussion. Going to be some very interesting stuff come up, I'm sure. And we talked about nature and nurture a little bit, but we're going to really dive into it. I'm not coming with a plan. I never come with a plan. Why do I even say that anymore? It's going to be open discussion. It's going to be like, how do we get here? And we're going to go wherever the conversation takes us. And I'll be writing some of the stuff down. And I'll be doing a summary. We'll find out together where we think it comes from. All right. Thanks for watching. Keep being real.